So, I assume that everybody who watches this, five of you, will probably know who I am already on some personal level. I have shared a few times on different social media channels, kind of struggle with anxiety every now and then, right? I'm not a daily anxiety person, monthly, right? I don't have these issues on a regular basis, but for me, when I do, I feel like it's very cathartic to talk about it. Mostly, I talk about it with people who reach out to me after I type about it on social media. But I think it's important to kind of vocalize instead of internalize what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. One of the most interesting things I think that happens is I do hear from a lot of people directly, and several of them, are people who are lucky enough to not have any kind of anxiety or depression issues or anything like that. Um, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I don't. I'm not a long time anxiety sufferer or person who deals with these things. Started a couple of years ago. Um, I used to do a podcast many years ago with my best friend, and have been toying with doing a podcast and calling it "Moving On" or something like that, working title, right? FPO. But the thought was to have it called "Moving On" and be talking to people and about what it's like when you um, move from your hometown, move from town to town, change what your job is drastically, change anything, something you've moved on from, right? And so I've been bouncing back and forth about how to do that. And in that process, was awoken on this Monday, about 2 o'clock in the morning, woke up and just instant anxiety, right? Like for those of you who know what it feels like, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, I just short of breath, felt like my mom used to say that she always felt like the shoe, like she was waiting for the other shoe to fall, like waiting for the phone to ring and it was going to be bad news. And I never understood that. And my wife goes through the same thing a little more regularly than I do. And I never understood that feeling or what she meant by just assuming that every phone call was going to be uh, a really bad, really upsetting phone call. It's kind of like when your boss calls you or texts you or emails you or whatever they do now and says, hey, can you come to my office? Can you hop on a Zoom call? Can you give me a FaceTime? And the first thing you do is start rattling off all the things that maybe you can get in trouble for, when typically it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. But anyway, so for me, what I go through when it happens is kind of in stages. And I don't know, I haven't really looked this up. So if it's not this way for everybody else, again, this is personal. If it is something medical or clinical, I wouldn't know that either, just kind of going off of what it feels like for me. But it's multi-process. So there's the initial anxiety that comes on. And for me, I've tried to describe it like, think about standing in the middle of a circle of 100 people, and they are all telling you all the bad things, all the negative things that you think about yourself, that you think other people think, which probably they don't. But you think people think that, and they're saying it to you. And then the more I started thinking about that, and it's not that it feels like they're saying it, and this is going to get real weird, and maybe it only makes sense to me, but almost like in the old Batman or any kind of movie where like the words "pow" come up and they're real big. For me, it almost feels like those words are physical. So one of the things I deal with is weight, right? Like I always feel like I'm overweight and people look at me weird or whatever. So let's use that as an example. So think of the word fat, right? But as a physical form that someone can hold and then hit you with it. And so that's what it feels like to me. Like it's the anxiety, it's the feeling of knowing that other people think negatively of you. And as much as we want to say we don't care, and maybe as a whole, we, whatever, as long as I'm good, I'm good. But I think typically we want people to like us. We want people to think positively of us. We want the things that we're doing to be viewed as good for the world or good for a family or good for the individual or something. But so it's like standing in the middle, being a piñata for all the shit you don't want to hear. You're going to fail. You don't look good. You're overweight. You're a bad parent. You're bad at your job, right? Like all those things that we don't want to be, that we strive not to be. Those are, it feels like people are kind of beating me over the head with all those words. And sometimes I can see their faces. It's not like, sometimes you make things up, right? Sometimes I think, the people I work with, the people I live with, the people I've known in the past, sometimes their faces pop up, but really it's a feeling of negative coming at you in ways that you can't even imagine that typically you don't have to deal with, for me. And then that starts messing with your head a little bit, my head, sorry, and starts to get me to think about all the other things. Legacy is a big deal for me, and I don't know if it's just because I turned 40 and I'm trying to, that was a while ago now, but you try to figure out what your legacy is, and I talk a little bit about that. Maybe that's another, maybe I turn this into a little bit of a podcast thing and we just start talking, and maybe nobody listens, but I think getting it out will feel good. But so all the things that I worry about pop into my head. I worry about my kids, whether they're 28 or 13. I still have worries about them, obviously. My parents, I worry about my wife and my family and my health, and did I do the right thing by moving and leaving one company that I'd been at for a long time and coming to a new one? And so all of those things, it's not, when people say, well, what are you anxious about and how can I help you? I appreciate that as a fixer. I try to do the same thing, but there typically isn't anything somebody can do for me other than just kind of listen or just reach out and, hey man, hope all's good, love you. Because the next couple of days for me after that are rough too. So Monday, happened at 2:00 in the morning, lasted a few hours of really like deep, like taking breaths and understanding what was going on, but not being able to do anything about it. All day Monday was in my head. It's tough to wake up then and go lead a team of people and try to do your job and then come home and be a parent and a husband and act like you don't feel like the world is caving in, even while you do. And so, you have the initial anxiety attack. I do. And then the rest of the day is just mentally exhausting. It almost, it really drains you. It really does. Tuesday, next day, still super tired. Still trying to figure out what's real and what's not. I think a lot of my anxiety comes from made up stuff, things I think people are thinking. So Tuesday for me was down, but not quite as down. Shauna, my wife, does a really good job of reminding me of how good things really are. Didn't sleep again Tuesday night. Just kind of woke up, whatever. Wednesday, felt a little better. Wednesday night, woke up, fell asleep around 10:30. Woke up at 2. Woke up at 2 thinking all the words I was getting hit about weight and appearance were accurate. Built a workout plan, did some, put some stuff in for the grocery order for healthy foods, and attacked my day Thursday on about 4 hours of sleep, and then had to go to work and do some performance evaluations for the year. So it's, sometimes work is a good thing. It helps you focus on positives. Mixed in there, my youngest son was inducted into the Beta program, which is it's like Key Club and Honor Society kind of rolled into one. So you have to be invited to it. You have to fill out some paperwork and do some things. So I was super excited for him. And so, anxiety is this, right? When it's low, it's low. But I think not sitting alone and not being quiet about it, not keeping things to myself, or at least not keeping everything to myself, helps me appreciate the things that can help pull me out. Today I'm pretty good. I think by today it's, I'm kind of back to normal. But anyway, I know this is rambling, and I doubt that many of you, whoever even opens this up, realized this was going to be a 11 or 12 minute video of me rambling. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and I think talk about it. And I appreciate people who have reached out to me. I think that asking for help, asking for understanding. I know there's a lot of people who think that people who are depressed or suffer from anxiety or whatever, whatever the way that you look at it, I think they don't get it. But I think it's ignorant to think that it doesn't happen and that it's not an honest reaction, or that people don't suffer from things that they don't understand. Because for 39 and a half years of my life, I did not understand anxiety. And somewhere around 40, I got a really good firsthand understanding of what it means to have an anxiety attack and feel a little bit of depression and a little bit of like Chicken Little with the sky is falling. It's not enough to say it's not. Sometimes you just got to write it out. Anyway, I hope that maybe this helped someone, or was informative, or you liked it. You can leave comments below. I'm going to post this on YouTube, which is where you probably will see this. And maybe this will become a more regular thing, just talking a little bit for a few minutes with some friends or whatever about any number of things. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.